One of those squads should be looking to snatch it up for themselves, but especially would love to get his hands on it. But you can see right there on the bottom of the screen, most banned by opponents. One of those is going to be that Lee Sin.
And finally we learned that Spirit can play JAG. Played it first pick in their last series after dropping it a couple of series in a row.
Which means that we'll never see it again.
Most likely not. Achilles.
There we go.
It's going to be respect banned on the red side, because would for certain play that as well. Even though Lee Sin has drawn more eyes, Spirit is 5-1 on the Lee Sin, so making it work at least. The Rumble ban feels a bit like a Marin in the past, but it's also a Marin respect ban. Even with some nerfs, Marin would jump on the Rumble if he could, and now double bans going the way of Rumble. I speculated that with Rumble taken down on us, Renekton would become even more contested as a blind pick top laner, and already double Marin bans for generic GreenWings.
Yeah, nothing too shocking there. Let's just go ahead, follow up with the third one, get rid of that Kennen perhaps as well. For now, though, on the side of Afreeca Freecs, they fire back, take away the Galio, something that we know that Kuro is very happy to pick up for himself, but don't want to give that over as a first pick here for Jin Air. They certainly would take that either for Ixu or Kuzan.
I wonder if Marin's willing to jump on the Gnar. That's another one of his legacy picks.
That's true.
Saw that in our first series. We're not sure if it's just a counter pick to the Renekton or if it will generalize from there. Jin Air setting up for either first pick Caitlyn or potentially a first pick Lee Sin. Lee Sin available. Not contract bound to taking a first pick, but it is a very impressive pick for The Rek'Sai also will be interesting to see, given that has been playing it a bit, and we saw Ambition excel with it in our first series.
Yeah, games 2 and 3 really helping secure that win, but it's actually going to be the Karma.
Karma priority in Korea feels a little bit disproportionate with other regions. Deficio and other analysts talking about how in other regions Karma's falling through pick and ban, and yet the flex nature of the Karma and some of the tweaks, I would say, for example, Athene's Unholy Grail feels stronger in Karma now that you get free ability power from the mana regen or base mana regen you pick up.
Still, there it is.
There's going to be a big answer here from Afreeca Freecs, and the fact that they can get the Lee Sin, which we mentioned is 5-1 for Spirit, and Braum has been the go-to support, and even in the 2v2 laning phase, as a melee versus ranged, if Karma is to be support, the Unbreakable, one of the best ways to deal with the Mantra Q. So Afreeca put forward a very strong 2 picks on the red side.
Nicely drafted by these guys. So what did Jin Air want to go ahead and take away? We've been seeing Oriana's earlier and earlier, so if Kuzan wants to get his hands on that, could see it come through, but the Talia is available to answer for Kuro. And we know that he is more than happy to take that pick. But for now, with its Lee Sin being taken away by Spirit, seems like is just going to go ahead and fall back on that Rek'Sai, as you mentioned, has been playing it.
And even historically, Rek'Sai was always a pretty good matchup into Lee Sin with the Unburrow interaction with the Resonating Strike, the ability to cancel it out with the knock-up with good timing. So happy to go with the Rek'Sai in this scenario. Where the draft goes from here is kind of the most interesting factor. Perhaps we've been wrongly warned of the Corki meta because we've seen surprisingly little Corki in our games today. Varus also thought would be passed up for champions like Jhin, Ashe available as well, but Varus taken over any AD carry, including the Xayah that has been the must-pick recently for Kramer. Was loving it into the Caitlyn when Afreeca Freecs were leaving that open for first pick, but Xayah will be able to just wave clear happily against the Varus, so no concerns there for Afreeca.
The minor nerfs on 7-12, but nothing too damning. Up to cooldown on the W, as well as some quality of life changes. So overall, a little bit weaker, but still a very strong pick. You get her a couple items there. Hyper carry in the late game. We've seen just how much work those Xayahs can do. But into the second round of bans, the Zyra is going to be the first thing taken off the board here. So none of that Zyra Varus nonsense in the bottom lane for Jin Air.
And notice that Afreeca is no longer blind picking Gragas in the first round as a top player. That was what they were doing on patch 7.11. With the nerfs to the Doran's Ring stacking, feels like Gragas top doesn't have the easy itemization he did before. Triple Doran's Ring into Iceborne Gauntlet. That's kind of the sweet spot of items for a Gragas. Now it feels like before 7.13 comes in and Catalyst Rush becomes a possibility into something like the Abyssal Mask, he doesn't really have a great one-item power spike, or at least some incremental items towards the Iceborne Gauntlet. That means that Gragas is a little bit less contested as a early round pick. Still in the jungle is fine, but top lane, less of a possibility. Focusing on the bans, Corki ban does come out on the side of Afreeca Freecs. It was a pretty common pick for Kuro on the Rocks Tigers. given they haven't drafted a top laner this far, you would imagine they're last picking for Marin, which hasn't been their recent trend. You need a safe blind pick somewhere, and with Orianna taken off the board, Cassiopeia, Pakuro especially, is a pretty good pick.
So where does Kuzan want to go to try to answer this one?
Could still be playing the Karma as a possibility.
That's true.
No
Shields.
guarantees on that one. They double banned support, so Afreeca are suspecting it's going to be a mid lane Karma.
Shields have been nerfed, but still could help mitigate that damage coming through from the Cassiopeia in the mid lane.
With a blind pick required, the cannon that we saw Huni flounder on yesterday is going to be locked in for the side of Ixu. I thought he might have gone for the Jace that he was doing some great work on earlier in the season and does so well against the Cassiopeia in particular. Not feeling confident enough to go for the Jace. It looks like they were correct in their suspicions when it came to where the Karma is going. And this wave clear happily against the Cassiopeia. Ooh. And Alistar, the last second switch over, so Thresh has always been a standby for Snowflower, but he will be respecting the lead of Gorilla and actually jumping onto the Alistar against the Freecs.
All right, well, melee versus melee there in that bottom lane. Both of them going to be having stuns as well. So could have a pretty feisty bot lane fight coming through.
Cool thing about Alistar against Xayah is that you can just headbutt her out, and she doesn't have mobility or the ability to really catch up to fights. So displacement can be super strong against Xayah from her doing damage in fights where she really struggles, is staying in them. And despite the look at the Gragas, it still will be Gragas from Marin. Got the information that he'll be laning against the Cannon, can go Spirit Visage largely and be pretty happy. But the early itemization will be very interesting to track. Will it just be Doran's Ring and Doran's Shield into items? Will it be another hodgepodge? We're not really sure. With Catalyst not a realistic option until Abyssal Mask builds out of it. I'm interested to see where Marin takes the Gragas that has been his main top lane pick recently.
Maybe he says screw it, still goes for the budget Rod of Ages. I doubt we'll see that one, but
see, it was a budget Rod of Ages before. Now it's a rinky-dinky Rod of Ages. Not a great one, Achilles.
A rinky-dinky
That's right, it's rinky-dinky. It's a really bad budget situation. You spent all your money on McDonald's and you have a couple of cents left for a full meal.
I don't think I've heard that term in a while, so bringing something back.
You haven't seen 3 Doran's Rings like this ever before.
Oh dear. All right, well, either way, 5th versus 5th right now. Tied up matchup. Jinair versus the Afreeca Freecs. We'll see who can take the lead here in game number 1. Set themselves up for that match point and try to close it out with a 2-0. It's going to be a hard-fought one either way from what we can expect. So let's go ahead and jump onto the rip for game number 1. And still hanging out here Wednesday night. That'll be 9 p.m. in Korea, and that's a nice little cheerful.
It's a sick cheerful.
Tucson enjoying some apple juice by the look of it.
Who was missing from that? That was Mowgli on there. Didn't catch who was missing from it. I think there was only 5 people resembled, but fans on both sides having to wait a while as our first series went extra long, and we're starting at 8:55 local time. For our second series, could definitely go 3 matches Achilles. Freecs until recently exclusively played 3-match series, and Jinair GreenWings are no stranger to it either. Everyone's having fun with the different chromas and skins for Alistar recently. It's the Moo Alistar, I believe.
It's a great skin. Just as long as they're not spamming the cowbell.
That's a Lee Sin thing.
That was a fun trend on the subreddit for a while.
Was it a worrying one?
Yes. I was worried for everyone's sanity, including my own. Because it was all just cowbell remix.
Couple of Doran Shields this game, less of course than previously with the changes on 7-12. Ixu not feeling confident enough to go for a collar or Doran's Blade. That would definitely be the Marin or Smeb school of thought.
Wants to start things off nice and safe, has that Doran shield to help mitigate that damage coming through. We'll find Marin, get a couple hits in.
It's amusing that now the very hard leash is a common thing, and thus Spirit's small leash is actually conspicuous in how little help he got. Cassiopeia, not very useful in throwing leashes over the wall, and end result is that Spirit will have a slower jungle pace and potentially be lower health for a gank.
Also spotted out so they can track him. Do the nice ward thrown down.
Much more shallow vision from the side of Afreeca Freecs when it comes to information on what is up to.
Keep things a bit more hidden for him. See if he can come up with any surprise ganks like we saw from Ambition in games 2 and 3.
He's now jumping over to potentially contest the blue buff. Could have done a couple of different things. Ganked bot lane, taken the Rift Scuttler, or invaded. Chooses the invade route.
We'll spot him out here. Has the Emperor ready to go. Pops him up. Spirit, does he flash away? Has the ward hop, and MT doesn't want to pursue any deeper.
First roam from Snowflower. Access to level 2, so she could have his suite of CC available. How much of a contest will we see from Rek'Sai? Already leashed the blue buff.
So this one up Snowflower here to help out. Smite about to be available for both of these junglers as Tucson now walks around. Spirit coming back in, goes low, but MT will take it away in the end. Doesn't even have to use a Smite.
Headbutt used smartly by Snowflower to stop any of the concussive blow stacks coming down, and lane pushed in meant this was a possibility for Jin. A nice multi-step plan for them. It's called as track, and in the mid lane, Kuzan doing the Karma mid lane things against Kuro.
And chunking out that Cassiopeia rather early. MT is wrapping around mid, potentially looking for a gank, but spotted out on a ward on that ramp, so he'll just have to go back into the jungle and continue clearing out because he has that entire top side that he can still take. Now Spirit and Ixu finding each other. He'll pop up the wall, but the Resonating Strike is there to follow up. Slows him with the Tempest, but Ixu is out of there with the Lightning Rush.
If you missed the last series that Jin Air played, look, they went down to Samsung, but the fact that they took a game with the surprise top lane pick, and from there were able to, make it contest in game 3. It was largely Samsung's game to lose, but the Baron buff steal coming through from Umti and Teddy was the one that pulled that one out. But the fact that it wasn't just a 2-0 was an important step forward for a Jin Air team that we're still finding it pretty hard to evaluate. They're clearly a lot better than they were in spring, but the question is, are they better in the context of as good as Afreeca, as good as Samsung, as good as the top 2? That's the part we're still learning about. So for them to really make a series of it was good to see. And this is another important match where they're against, as we've mentioned a couple of times already, the team they're most likely to be playing off against for one of those top 5 spots, to make it to playoffs. So showing up in this series is a really important thing for Jin Air.
Smite out there, MT. Taking away the Raptors, and Spirit struggling to find some camps at this point.
Well, he's dealing with mid lane and bot lane priority, even top lanes. 3 lanes pushing in for Afreeca, against the Afreeca Freecs. So all Afreeca can really do is avoid skill shots and try and give up the minimum. Big loser in that regard will be the jungler, because he just does not have his lanes in positions to be able to react.
Burrow going to the back, so nice deny on the minions here in the mid lane by Kuzan. He'll start things off with a nice little lead. Already building in for that Chalice. TP out here from Mixu, comes back in, has the Vamp Scepter completed.
Dark Seal and the refillable first purchase from Marin, so maybe not even a second Dorrance of any description.
Maybe this will be the new standard if we continue to see that top lane Gragas.
Could also consider buying more than one Dark Seal.
That's true. Maybe you get 3 Dark Seals instead of 3 Doran's rings.
It's possible.
It's still 3 rings.
It's true.
My God, we figured it out. Nope, maybe we haven't. Cloth armor instead.
I'm saying it's a possibility, right? You could go there. You don't get the same value out of it as Singed, and Singed kind of has to go into it, otherwise he just gets rolled in lane. So prefers to just work his way towards the Ninja Tabi.
There's somebody that fell off a cliff. Singed. He's here at the start and then just kind of quietly disappeared into the shadows.
Hey, if the Camille blind pick meta continues going, Achilles, who knows?
That's true.
That was the one pick people played around with, was Singed into Camille.
Now she doesn't have the sustain. Maybe the Singed will make a resurgence. Very much like the Zed potential there with Corki.
Again, my favorite thing is that rock, paper, scissors. There's always something that's out of the meta that does well into the new meta, and we don't have a settle the meta recently, and in League of Legends in general, with how often Riot patches. You get to see cool things like Singed come out of nowhere.
Coming out of nowhere, comes up over the wall.
Karma was...
But Kuro can go ahead and peel back.
And Karma was forced so far back that no kill pressure onto Kuro that time. With 3 pushing lanes, Kuro not having to flash in the first 7 minutes is a mini victory for Afreeca, and gold lead is 1100, largely from just minions, but the accumulation of every single role winning, and also even the jungler losing out on camps, is going to be to the tune of 1,000 gold early.
Nice way to start things here for Jin Air. Keeping it up is going to be the challenging thing, though. Priority around the bot side might be lackluster a bit due to the Cloud Drake start. So maybe pay a bit more attention towards the top side. See, just taking away these Raptors yet again with a bit of help from Kuzan and a very big roam from Snowflower.
Been called by Spirit, you'd have to imagine to say, hey, I can't actually get access to my jungle. I want my red buff. I want as much as possible. Roamed up with the Braum, and if Braum is there and there's an over-aggressive move by Umti, that could be definitely a kill with the concussive blows. So don't mind the roam, and didn't really cost Xayah too much in bot lane.
Fantastic trade here for Kuzan. Jukes back on the poison and just lays it in on the Kuro.
Was it a trade, though, Achilles? It's more just getting hit in the head with a baseball bat.
He took a little bit of damage. It's not an even trade.
No.
It's like Kuro's really bad at bartering.
No Flower going for a walk as well. Those boots of mobility. Well, if Boots of Mobility, Braum, and Alistair aren't going to give us any action in the early game, we may be short of action for a while.
Seems like just Jin Air winning out as far as CS is concerned. That's about it. So, I mean, general update for the chat, actually. Papa Smithy finally watched Saving Private Ryan.
I did. I finally saw Saving Private. We had a movie night.
It only took years and years.
19 years after release, I believe. 2000, was it 98?
98 or 99, yeah. I believe it's 98.
19 years then. It was good. It felt like every Call of Duty campaign put together.
That's an insult. Well, that's going to be a flash knock-up here coming through from Umti. Kuro's still going low. One more hit would do it. He's got the ultimate, the Void Rush. Takes him down, first blood over to Jin Air.
You always forget that ultimate, factoring it in with the missing health damage. Easy kill cleanup by Umti. First blood of the game is on to Kuro. His flash is now down. Sort of thing I might have expected a few minutes ago. But netting the kill starts to up the pace from the perspective of Jin Air.
It was 98. My memory served me correct.
It does sound like an insult, but Call of Duty did crib very liberally over many years from that movie. And it's one of those situations where you see the inspiration after the fact. Same with Blade Runner for me. So definitely could appreciate it. Some excellent filming. Some great angles, especially for the Normandy landing, but can't help but, you know, feel like you've seen some of it before.
That whole sequence is just breathtaking. I think at the time, one of the most expensive starts to a film ever.
A lot of people threatening, but no real action. Umti has been the big benefactor, though. Spirit really can only just clear camps and hope things get better with these lanes. That's the third Raptor camp in a row that Umti's been able to contest and take away. So much golden experience.
Yeah, this is really brutal. I mean, granted, it does contribute a lot to the CS lead that you can see for Umti over Spirit, given just how many Raptors there are, but still, it's going to be significantly up in gold at the moment, especially with that first blood bonus coming through.
Well, we're getting closer and closer to the what's next question, because sure, they're getting a incremental goldie that's going up 500 every 3 or 4 minutes, but no attention to a Drake or to the Rift Herald yet. Some good vision around the red side, but nothing to profit, or no turret dives onto the Gragas either. And the late game, the team fighting will go pretty landslide the way of the Afreeca Freecs. So it's on Jin Air to continue to match the pace they've started, but if you have flash down on the mid laner and also pretty extensive vision around the red side jungle of Afreeca to the point where you've taken 3 Raptor camps, what's the next step is what Jin Air needs to look at, and that's actually profiting from this vision and considering something like a Rift Herald start, which, sure, they don't have the most damage from their mid laner especially, but they need to make more than just what they're putting together so far.
Well, Umti will go ahead and start this one up. It is warded out. Spirit starting to work his way over here, as is Tucson. All in vision. Do they get the peel back? Varn is also wrapping around towards that tri-brush that it could collapse in, and it seems like Umti will go ahead and back off.
Oh, its leash range pretty insane. It's going to releash now.
Let's go ahead. be the stop on for that one. So, I mean, well, we answered the question of what's next, but nothing comes of it.
Weren't able to combine the start with something like a Gragas back timing and the cannon walking down to help. So the solo was not going to happen. No control ward in the inventory. Another one of these rejuve beads in the inventory, though.
Feels amazing.
Does it, though?
Tiamat on the way.
Tiamat later is also kind of strange from It lets him turret dive better, but they haven't been looking for turret dives. To me, the only reason you rush Cinderhulk is because you're ready to start diving everything with your mountain of HP, compared to Tiamat, where you're ready to skirmish. And given how often he was in the face of Spirit, you'd think he'd want to skirmish. It's a nice interrupt with the Unburrow.
Yep, that's going to be the denial that we were talking about. Nice little interaction, so MT showing some prowess here with that RXI pick. Really earning this one, and well, Kuro, he's having a really bad time. Barely misses getting hit by that final inner flame, but who's on? CS lead. Dean's already completed. Continuously shoving in the Cassiopeia. Does have that innate sustain built in, and everything's stacking up, so like you said, a bit of a ticking time bomb out of that mid lane, but for now, some really good pressure being applied.
This is immediate power on the side of Jin Air, and stacking and delay from the side of Afreeca. Speaking of Afreeca, Spirit's top, but it's still cannon, so a bad time is had.
He's like the wind.
Guys are wondering, the cannon nurse that are on Reddit right now will be going into effect in a couple of weeks' time when we hit patch 7.13. On-hit cannon still at relatively full strength. Another couple of weeks to enjoy this. Feels amazing.
Dip the show cries.
I just want some AP cannon, Achilles.
Well, then he'll really not be happy.
Well, I mean some buffs and then some AP cannon. Not AP cannon on this current cannon. Marin was the first offender of this on-hit cannon in Korea.
Knock up yet again there from MT. Has a tunnel. So about safety.
Another scenario where Rek'Sai has good deep vision. They have a low turret in top side. They could be trying to guarantee first brick or first blood turret in top lane right now, and that's why Rek'Sai is walking up.
Marin low on mana here. There's a bit more. But can only clear out so many waves, and we'll have to go back to base. The TP is available for him, but could put him at a bit of a disadvantage because Ixu, I mean, he's perfectly fine to go ahead and stick around for a while.
He'd love play the Ruin King, so he could at least start having some sort of kill pressure on Marin. Not even a little bit of one here. Catalyst is going to be the build, which I mentioned will be a bigger build in the future. For now, still being opted into by Marin.
Yeah, and has the gold for the blasting wand as well. So he's got a little bit more oomph behind those barrels. Try to trade back some damage, clear out these waves a bit more consistently, and try to catch up in CS, because right now he's down by 20.
Wait, Marin's going to build a Rod of Ages.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Marin, we asked the question of where you're going to go with the build. He wanted the Catalyst. There's no Abyssal Mask. That's a change in 7.13. So he's going to build a Rod of Ages from the top lane on Gragas. Interesting.
This is classic.
It's classic Marin, that's for sure.
Classic Gragas. You know, when he was in the mid lane.
Rod of Ages Spirit Visage was a build for about half second in the top lane as well. After the first Gragas rework, where he didn't have a 1 AP ratio in his ult anymore. We can bring back the old adage, Achilles, of, well, Rod of Ages is going to cash in at 26 minutes. So maybe do stuff before then, Jin Air, with your 3 pushing lanes.
Well, they're looking for it. He still takes a lot of damage as it turns out. Slicing Mail comes down, but really nice explosive cask. We'll take Ixu out of there before the stun can come through.
Still Gragas, as it turns out.
Yeah. You know, still has those all the same abilities no matter what items he builds.
Needs to delay. Jin Air with this big advantage still hasn't really pushed anything.
Sunflower face checking will get popped up. Throws down the ultimate. Won't be able to get a stun out here. They do trade a little bit back here on Tuesday. They're looking for a little bit more. Headbutt Pulverize comes through. Exhaust down onto Teddy as they try to kill the Braum. Goes low. Still don't have the stun. And he's able to flash his way out to safety.
A trade that goes the way of Jin Air, but what's next has been our questions. It's early in this game. That small gold lead has continued at the same pace up to 2,000 at this point in the game. Still waiting for Ixu to break the top lane turret. We know it's super low. Items are there. Now has the Black Cleaver. Harass onto Marin's getting there, but Afreeca might actually be stealing from under the noses of Jin Air, the first objective of the game.
Yeah. They go ahead, take away that Cloud Drake. So nothing of, nothing too bad here for the side of Jin Air. If you lose that on that one, next one will be an Ocean spawning at about 23 minutes. But getting the first brick, that's going to be the big thing here for Ixu, for Jin Air. If he can finish this one off, you can see that he is chunking out onto Marin pretty consistently. The Sustain just trying to keep himself alive, but already has chugged through both of those potions. Kuro on the roam up, as is Spirit, but he's got Umti to back him up. As they walk in, they will find this control ward to clear that out. Marin's going to go ahead, body slams in, yeah, kicks him to the side. Petrifying Gaze not going to connect, and Umti is going to take a little ride up through the wall.
Yeah, able to dodge both the Miasma and the Ultimate, neither of which had massive value on him, gets out. It's a big investment by Afreeca, doesn't get anything out of it. Kuzan gets a bit of damage on the mid lane turret as well. Even if we're still waiting for these turrets to go down, certainly standing gold, very soon to be claimed by Jin Air, and Afreeca with that investment do not come out with anything.
Yeah. Pushed through quite a bit. The flash down from Marin, especially the big one, that they do miss out on. So now Ixu is going to keep pushing forward, just has to be worried about where Spirit's at. They don't have any deep vision inside that red side jungle at the moment. Freecs, so he is obscured. Well, he was. Now he walks down towards the Raptors and is spotted as the pings come through, but there's a couple more hits here for Ixu.
I mean, this game could not be any more the exact adage of scaling versus immediate power. Look at the builds from Afreeca. Marin, Rod of Ages. Kuro, Rod of Ages tier. That's Spirit
damage.
Some sick damage.
Now they're coming through. Umteen getting ready to join in. Doesn't have the tunnel to make it over the wall, but might not even need it. His Spirit goes very low, and the final Mantra Q will take him down. Kuzan now with the tether. They won't be able to get in on top of Kuro. Has the flash and the cleanse available, but that opens up for Ixu to go ahead and shove down that turret. First brick over to Jin Air, stretching that gold lead a bit further. 3.4 thousand now in the lead.
And the reason why those items are significant, also essence or even from Kramer, is that everyone has building blocks for Afreeca. Immediate power for Jin Air. They should win every skirmish at this point in the game. That's why it's good to see them walking up, taking trades. They are set up to win basically every scenario at this point in the game.
Can't quite finish off the turret, but they get it dangerously low. So a second one very soon on the way here for the side of Jin Air. So good moves coming through. Still, though, the time bomb scaling of Afreeca Freecs is something that has to be taken into consideration. But for now, Jin Air seem to be doing all the right things.
A draft like this is kind of, when we're all at 3 items, let's hope we have inner turrets still up, is kind of where you're at. You're willing to surrender things like outer turrets, the Rift Herald, you've probably given up on that as well. But around the 30-minute mark, there'll be a lot of power on Afreeca Freecs as they close in on 3 items. So we're really judging what Jin Air can get done before those items are completed, and picks onto them will also accelerate that time.
Slump comes through. Glacial Fissure will be flashed away from by Kuzan. You can see even just a second tick on the Mantra is enough to kill the back line.
Well, you do hit those higher AP numbers now, regardless of build.
He's just got a death cap.
Yeah, I mean, he can go from the death cap. He can even go back and pivot back into something like the Ardent Sensor or start working towards other items, given the fact that he also picks up ability power from sources he wouldn't before. Worth noting that Karma was nerfed on this patch. The AoE shields are now 20% weaker than they were before.
Yeah, and the base for your own shielding is also reduced. But when you have that much AP, it's kind of hard to feel the difference.
It's still a whole hell of a lot, as it turns out. It does mean that Umti can happily go Black Cleaver, maybe even pick up a Tiamat from here, and have also the AoE shields to keep him topped up in fights.
Hunting here for Spirit. We'll get found out as that ward comes down, but he's got the sweeper to go ahead and clear that one away.
Drake spawns in a minute 45. It's an Ocean. It's not ideal for Jin Air, given the fact that they still run the map. They'll wonder how they didn't pick up the first Drake, but at this point it's all about pushing forward. They have 1 turret down. They're rotating around mid. They have it low. Love to see some of the vision they have on the top side be translated into some movements around the blue side, and happy days, they do that. And that's a second turret for Jin Air GreenWings.
Moving forward as steadily as possible. Ixu shoving all the way up towards this tier 2 in the top lane. Some decent vision coming through here from the rest of his team to try to keep him safe, but even then, a bit risky. Try to play around this far up. Let's see, Marin coming over the wall. The body slam will just clip him. Placing Maelstrom thrown down. We'll find the stun, and Marin won't be able to knock him in with the explosive cast for any further follow-up.
He didn't want to find Kennen so early because the rest of his team was still coming, although he catches up.
Oh, but he'll just go ahead and boop him to the side. Iksu with the lightning rush gets himself to the other side of that explosive cask.
Rift Herald was not picked up with all that control for Jin Air in the early game, it's worth noticing.
They tried, but it wasn't enough. Now turret under siege here. Kramer firing away. Snowflower nearby, and Spirit on the backside will be spotted out by the ward as he clears that out.
Top lane is recall into the bot lane. Laning focus from Iksu predictably, gone for the Frozen Mallet second. So chase down the Gragas, who is getting closer and closer to outpacing the damage though. Iceborne Gauntlet will still be the item, but went for the actual Rod of Ages, the rich man's Rod of Ages, into Iceborne Gauntlet.
I think it's luxurious at this point. Snowflower, though, gonna mess up the combo.
Maybe back to the practice tool after that one.
Even after the changes they made so very long ago, where you can just buffer it. How embarrassing.
That's a different game, Achilles.
Sorry.
Yeah, actually trading pressure now, which, again, given the early game, it felt like the trades should never really been able to be opted into. You see Afreeca just casually walking top side and trying to take down the turret. Meanwhile, Omti, against the run of the game, is also looking to get a second Drake on the board for the Afreeca Freecs. And one item's become two item for Afreeca, it's worth noticing. It's Teleport coming in, Marin style.
Yeah, Marin wrapping around the backside, Kuzan here. Body slams forward, not going to find Kuzan. Pins him into the wall, and Spirit does land that Sonic Wave to go in for the Resonating Strike. Kuzan going low. Can he get a shield onto himself in time? Looks like it's still not going to be enough, as he will fall. Afreeca Freecs finally put a kill on the board. Spirit picking that one up.
But how much does it mean with 40-second death timer? They have good Baron damage with Xayah and Cassiopeia, but they feel like this is not the right time to try and pull up. They don't have control wards to get exclusive vision over the Baron. They see that Iksu is still in the top lane, or the bot lane I should say. The only way to get there would be to use teleport, and Marin teleported already, so wants to try and draw it out, but they won't start the Baron to draw out a teleport, and the end result, just a minion wave pushed in by Iksu.
Getting further and further ahead where he can. All that gold that he's collecting, we'll see what the next item is going to be. Arcane sometimes what we see from the on-hit cannon, but it can really go either which way at this point. Maybe something like the Wit's End to help mitigate the damage from Kuro in the late game.
Even a Phantom Dancer to be a bit more of a 1v1 battler. It's the last patch we'll have where the full impact of the Hurricane is there for Kennen, just like Caitlyn. In 7-13, he won't be able to just get endless Mark of the Storm procs, or passive procs with the Hurricane. But just a Zeal, he'll work it out later. But again, it feels like Afreeca are finally getting there. It's going to be 10 stacks on both Rod of Ages in just under a minute. 3 items on Kramer is really their true go button, and they're getting there. Findy Edge will be completed in about the next 7 minutes, you'd have to think. And I was right about the build, by the way. Kuzan went Death Cap and then Ardent Sensor, so he's going to be getting extra ability power with the mana regen on that item. We kind of come full circle, because if you remember, the original Karma passive was to get ability power, free ability power from, I want to say, health? I forget. It was a long, long time ago, original Karma. But she used to get ability power on her regular passive, and now itemizes so naturally into Athene's that there's bonus ability power coming all over the Rift. I think it was, when she was low in HP, she got ability power. It was a weird passive.
I'm trying to remember her original abilities, because they were a bit different.
She had a fan on her Q.
Yes.
Tether was still there. Shield was still there.
Yeah, it was the Q that changed. Right.
And it healed. She was a weird champion. She still is. But you know, while we're speaking about old Karma, are just pushing straight up top lane.
Yeah, but they run out of minions rather quickly. Kramer can clear those out.
It's at the same time as Kennen's getting this sort of run of bot lane as he wants. Even without vision, they see all of Afreeca, so Ixu can keep pushing up, free autos onto Marin. Trying to balance the waves, pushing it at the same time. See Cassiopeia has been forced to recall. Don't see Karma yet, who'll show her face in just a second.
How long can Jin really keep at this? Seems like they all decided as a team to go ahead and back off. It's not that sustainable. They're not really gaining anything in that top side of the map.
I mean, the big problem is that they don't have 5 control wards, or not everyone has a control ward down, so there's no fallback Baron or fallback control into a face check from Afreeca coming at this point. They need the control wards. We see many more in the inventory now. They work it out, but you kind of need to be one step ahead, not one step behind when you're playing the vision game and recreating a scenario where they have bot lane and top lane both pushing in relative safety to then put down control wards. Will take a bit of time for Jin to set up again.
Baron vision starting to become priority here for both of these teams. Control ward thrown down by Snowflower. But it seems like Afreeca can just go ahead and very swiftly clear this one out. Does not have another one to place. Getting into a position to seek that one away would be very challenging for either side, so I don't think it's going to be the biggest concern at the moment. For now, Afreeca just wants to actually find a turret. Flash away there from Teddy. Himself safe, and he'll just go ahead and try to sustain back up.
Seen Marin throw casts over the wall like that before and pick up big advantages. They do get double the summoner and also the cleanse out of Teddy. And his QSS to good use at the same time. Afreeca also pick up a turret in the top lane. The gold lead still has not ballooned. It's about 4,000 gold at this point in the game, and Jin continue to trade with Afreeca, who had their items basically all together.
Uh-oh. Kuzan. He's turned in the corner, sees a Braum, flashes right back. Keeps himself alive, but has to use the summoner spell. And this is still just happening.
Yep. So pushing up lanes that are answered by Marin, who did not go for Iceborne Gauntlet, went for the Frozen Heart, which, as you can see, is going to be very useful against the build from Ixu.
We also got the Hurricane. So, yep, wave shoves very fast for the cannon. But, yeah, I missed the last game top lane matchup. That was much more interesting.
You a bigger fan of the Camille versus Fiora?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Wow.
At this point, this is basically a wet noodle fight.
Not as close to that. Even the turret's not taking any real damage.
You just can't walk up for it.
Nope. And Afreeca are basically at the point where they can opt into fights. So, kind of game where you feel like Jin will finally get a 5v5 fight, force it, and then bad things will happen. Marin getting more and more powerful. Soon to be at 3 items. Ceres and Rod of Ages complete. There's the Infinity Edge, and, well, I think it's time for Afreeca Freecs to walk up and force a 5v5 because they're feeling pretty good about them right now.
Yeah, let's go start the Mountain Drake. Nice juicy objective on the map at the moment, but not really any vision down that side for the Afreeca Freecs. So this is actually going to be started up by Jin. Kuro wraps around to see this. And maybe that's enough for the interrupt. Tucson now pushing forward, trying to get those concussive blows procking. Won't be able to do so as the Chain of Corruption does come out from Teddy, locking them in.
Tucson used to stand aside, or the W, and gave the snare over to Marin.
Oh yeah, that's going to be the explosive cast. Just pinned into the wall, even with the slicing Maelstrom. The stun's not going to be enough. Kramer with a second kill on the board now for Afreeca. One for him, one for Spirit.
Was the fight that Afreeca wanted. Only 1 kill, but they're going to turn to the Mountain Drake.
Oh, that was damn close by Kuzan. Doesn't come up with the steal.
Spirit didn't
taken out by Kramer.
Spirit didn't want to smite. Almost had it stolen away. Afreeca going to run top. Will they actually consider anything around the Baron? Not taking out the smite and not having vision around the area? The answer is no. But another pick, and with this Cassiopeia and also Kramer hitting critical mass on the Xayah, Baron is definitely on the menu. The next skirmish victory for Afreeca. Somehow we got spring season / the last 3 years of Jin in this game, where they got ahead, didn't know what to do, didn't play aggressive enough, and potentially got outscaled, Achilles.
Yeah, it's kind of looking that way.
They almost lasted a full round robin. Almost.
There's still the rest of the series. God knows we'll get current Jin in Game 2, and then we'll get more of this in Game 3. They'll all go to 50-plus minutes. We'll set a new summer record for the second time today, and we'll leave around midnight. There won't be any taxis to get home.
I'm ready for that, Achilles. That is an eventuality I can live with, as Ixu has to watch his turret go down. You looked at today's matches, and 6 games was definitely one of the first thoughts you would have had. Another 2.5 hours of League of Legends action I'm very much looking forward to. Hopefully it's more heavy on the action part and not just the League of Legends.
Yeah, if it has that, you know, then it's fine. Oh dear. Oh, okay, never mind. Lightning Rush. Takes some save.
Now Xayah showed in bot lane, so Umti at minimum can clear wards. They won't turn on to Baron. Jinair's Baron damage is pretty woeful unless Ixu can be there. He won't be able to be there.
Let's slow things down pretty considerably. But yeah, right now, somewhere around a kill every 8 minutes. Nice little ratio there. Flash body slam coming through from Marin. Divine Gaze not going to connect, and the explosive cast just pins Teddy into the wall, throws out that chain of corruption. And Kramer will still get locked down, but he's still very safe on the sidelines. Empty poking in with the Prey Seekers. You can see the wraparound from Ixu actually decides to just go ahead and back off. Sees the fight is disengaged and wants to get some hits in onto this turret. But Marin is very nearby, and it seems like Ixu might not come up with much.
See if he can walk up. He doesn't actually have any backup, but Ixu doesn't have full information on that. Jinair at the same time, turn on to Baron.
They know he doesn't have TP, actually, so this is really smart by Jinair if they can pull this one off.
Cassiopeia backed as well. This is a crucial time for Jinair.
Ixu can join in onto this one. They poke out Kramer. The vision gets cleared on the backside of the pit, but Jinair, they're not sticking to this one. Instead, they're just kind of hovering around.
They don't trust Snowflower to be able to interrupt Spirit.
Seems like if the Baron is getting dangerously close, they're going to have to do something. Seems like the answer is going to be to retreat, as the Baron will go ahead and just heal right back up. Double root comes through for Kramer. And, oh, I was getting excited.
I mean, the first call seemed really smart from the side of Jinair GreenWings, as you say, with the teleport and with Cassiopeia backing. But they didn't trust in trying to complete it. And there was no good blank teleport ward for Kennen to come in the back line, so they kind of get the minimum from what was a
there you go,
great situation for them. They will get this inner turret, but they're looking for a game breaker, and they don't get that in that scenario.
Pushing forward, looking for Kramer. Snowflower right in on top, and headbutts him back in. Pulverize coming through, and that's just going to be the first one going down. Teddy, as the goal gets picked up here for Kuro. Umti dangerously low. A couple more shots from the Baron would take him out. He has to hightail it. Now Afreeca, they're just going to go ahead and start this one up. Snowflower, I mean, had the engage, had Kramer. What you would have thought would be dead to rights, but just could not find the lethal damage, and now it's going to be Baron going over to Afreeca Freecs.
They thought they had the pick, but the rest of Afreeca was there looking for another pick. Speaking of, onto Kuzan. No ultimate for Marin.
Cast, so it seems like he might be able to walk out of this one with his life. Spirit goes forward, helps take down Snowflower. Another kill over to Afreeca. It seems like they might just be able to break this turret. Yeah, Ixu, nothing that he can do even with the Hurricane. They'll push in, get rid of that final outer turret. Now they're looking for inners.
So near, yet so far it feels like Jinair GreenWings. The draft made sense. The early game, they got to a spot, but from that spot they did not know how to move forward any further. Another team drafting this on-hit Kennen, getting advantage, but not knowing how to play around them. End result is the items are there for Afreeca. The one engaged by Jinair fails. Now Baron buff to Afreeca Freecs. And Jinair looks like they're out of ideas. Now we'll watch this. They went for this all-in. Featherstorm first, dodge the engage. And as Kramer's walking back, here's Marin. Here's the rest of Afreeca. Huge Glacial Fissure. And then Jinair's kind of caught all over the place, unable to fight against the damage of mid to late game Cassiopeia and Xayah. And the cleanup of Baron was good from Afreeca Freecs.
Yeah. That Pulverize was Glacial Fissure actually from Tucson, knocking everybody up. So a bit of the other way around. Petrifying Gaze did catch Snowflower there. So the follow-up, a bit rough from him. But now just 1,000 gold down are the Afreeca Freecs, but they're looking for more. They still have a Baron buff, and they're hunting for Ixu. And it looks like they'll be able to catch him.
Yep, he even hit the ult. Very nice. Bro.
All right, it's just going to be the solo kill.
Uses cleanse, just a party cleanse there. Could have had someone else clean up the fight, but didn't want to risk it. I'll take the minion wave in bot with Baron buff, push it up as well. Same time, Gragas is top lane. Marin looking for a teleport ward. They'll also bring up the minion wave in the mid lane, and Freecs look like they know what to do in this scenario, Kilios, and you can't say that about Jin Air when they were in control of the game.
They had a sudden moment of clarity, and they understood everything that needed to happen. As they claw that gold lead pretty much back to even, 5-2 in kills. 4-4 in turrets, so they've tied that up. And now they're looking for an Elder Dragon, so 2 buffs, not the greatest, but Cloud and Mountain going to be amplified.
I like to feel like Afreeca Freecs will always play at minimum a certain percentage of a perfect game. So far they've had 2 true perfect games, but there's always little passages of plays, especially in game 1s, where you're like, man, Afreeca Freecs is really good. And they very rarely can keep that together for a whole game, let alone a whole series. But just as they brought up 3 minion waves, everything clicked into place. They caught the cannon. That was great to see from Afreeca, and it's sort of forethought and also macro knowledge that Jin Air was not able to roll with when they were in control.
Well, making all the right moves as they pick up the Elder Dragon. So like I said, just the 2 stacks, but now they can go ahead for some fights where they need to. They have swung the gold into their favor. Ooh, dictate the pace of the game from here.
Super tanks in the front of the Xayah, that's for sure, and also our first Zeke's Convergence coming through from Braum. This item, no longer is it about giving free stats over to your allies. Basically, if Braum uses the Glacial Fissure, there's going to be that big slowing AoE, I guess kind of like a Slicing Maelstrom. And in that, people will be slowed. Also, targets that are attacked will take bonus magic damage from, I would imagine, Kramer is the person he's going to attach it to. So basically, it's, hey, if you dive Xayah, she's going to Feather Storm, turn around and kill you. So seems like a pretty good item for this scenario.
Yeah, not bad. Well, just going to be split push here, top and bottom side. The 2-3. As Kramer and Tucson just keep pushing through. Seems like they're going to be able to knock down that inner turret. Bot in him, almost exposed. A couple more shots. We'll be able to take this one out as Kramer and Tucson just keep ducking in and out of this turret.
They had the burn, so they were trying to finish it off.
All right, well, it's a fast cow, but the Dragon's Rage is a bit faster, so Snowflower not going to find anything for that. And they'll just lose out on this turret and stop side of the map. See if Afreeca going to be able to find their way into a spot to take out that inhib turret. Seems like the answer is no.
First movement was to back from the Xayah, being chased down by Rek'Sai. Almost no wards on the map on the top side, a control ward at the Raptor pit, but nothing more from Jin Air. Seems like they've accepted their fate a little bit, Achilles. Choosing to push up finally.
Spring Jin Air indeed.
Don't know what changed. They've become pumpkins, I guess.
They found a time machine and fell into it.
Wait, was that the Jin Air before or the Jin Air now?
Either? I guess? I don't know. Maybe the Jin Air before was like, let's see what we look like in the future. And then they jumped in, they're like, wow, we're doing really well. And they started playing again. They're just like, oh, wait. Nothing has really changed.
Time is a flat circle or something, I don't know.
Like
time,
the Earth.
Time is... Thanks, Kilios.
Oh, dear.
I learned something about you today.
I do not. That is not me. I'm not Shaq.
Confirmed on stream. Well, Jin Air finally pushing up, so they're trying to brute force something because they feel the inevitability of losing their base. Lanes are no longer in a wonderful spot for Afreeca, so there actually is options here for Jin Air. But will they do anything? Previous indication is no.
I mean, previous indication to the series might say yes. But now...
I mean, Marin is...
Forget about all of that.
Marin is ultra unkillable in this game. With the Gargoyle Stone Plate, he doesn't give a care in the world.
Ixu, we'll see how far the Lightning Rush can take him this time. We'll juke out. Not get popped up by that Glacial Fissure, but he'll still die. Kramer just does all the damage.
That was the Zeke's Convergence damage, by the way, for 50% bonus magic damage. Goodbye, Cannon.
Jin Air looking for maybe a pick out of the jungle, or maybe they're all just clumping up to get bodied by the Afreeca Freecs. They lead forward, get the slow in on to Teddy, looking for those concussive blows. It's knocked back up the lane a little bit there by the explosive cask as Spirit goes forward, looking for Snowflower. He's just going to take it out. Kramer yet again finding the kill. And the late double for him. Turret will be broken. Inhibitor now exposed. Afreeca can just do whatever the hell they want in the base of Jin Air at the moment.
Brute force their way, as you say, to their first inhibitor of the game. Feels like more on the menu very shortly.
And he's doing his damnedest to try to get some damage in here, if not a kill on their exit. Don't find it though, just a bit of hits in on the Tucson, takes him low, but not going to be finding that lethal hit.
I want to fall back into the Baron, but Jin Air are also feeling like maybe they can be the ones to pick up the Baron with the lower health bars from Afreeca.
Well, MT is walking in, he's just going to be face checking, and well, he's going to die as Kuro finds the kill, so no more smite. TP coming through from Ixu as he tries to join in the fight, but Slicing Maelstrom is not available. Petrifying Gaze connects onto him. He'll get popped back by the explosive cask, and Afreeca, they're at least weakened. So for the sake of Jin Air, we'll not have to worry about them going for the Baron at the moment. Instead, they're pushing in, looking for this inner turret in mid. But the wave is going to be cleared out very swiftly here by Kramer. Chain of Corruption thrown down by Teddy. But just a minimal capitalization here from the side of Jin Air. They will be sticking around trying to kill this, though.
Kuro's still able to walk up and wave clear.
Oh, Snowflower yet again going in. Three-man Pulverize does come through, but Kuro's still alive. Kites his way back in underneath the turret. Now they're trying to turn this thing around. Teddy going low, jumps over the wall. Spirit on his heels, pops the concussive blows, kicks him back in. And is just looking to deliver him into the rest of the squad for the kill, and Kuro will be able to snatch that one up. Kuzan, the only remaining member of Jin Air alive, will be running down to try to clear out this massive wave of minions that is just crashing into the bottom lane.
We'll be able to do that to some degree, but Afreeca Freecs going to push through the mid lane. Death Timers on the longer end. Umti's back alive, so maybe the game won't end on this push, but you know, it's like it's kind of been on that wind-up for about the last 5 minutes or so. Second inhibitor crashed down by Afreeca Freecs. Still 35 seconds for Teddy. So maybe they'll try and close it right now.
Seems like that might be the case here as Kramer is still full HP. Umti going forward, looking for the hit, but the Petrifying Gaze locks him up yet again. Straight into concussive blows. And Kramer finds another kill for himself on this side. And now 12-2. The overall scoreboard, not sure how many of these are his, but you have to imagine it's a damn lot of them. Second Nexus turret getting ready to go down. Snowflower going forward with the Featherstorm from Kramer, jukes it out, kicks himself up into the air. As he tries to finish off the Nexus, he will die in the end, but a couple more hits do take it down. And Afreeca Freecs, after being behind for the majority of the early into the mid game, turn things around. And Jin Air, there's a question of what's next. They ran out of ideas. Afreeca, they took the helm.
If there's a subtitle for this game, it will be Outscale the Game. Coming through from Afreeca Freecs, very clean. Went for so many stacking items, anyone, an analyst from Season 3 could be transported into this game and know what was going to happen, and yet Jin Air seemed dumbfounded when they got in a very decent spot in the early game, did what they needed to do, and then kind of just fell apart, didn't take any more advantages. The Rod of Ages power spike, the Ceres Embrace power spike, everything happened on the side of the Afreeca Freecs, and then the better team fighting comp work with the item scalings. So surprising, Achilles.
I just imagine D-Man casting this and just, screaming, "I do not believe this."
I think he would have very much believed this.
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward there.
He would have held his disbelief.
Maybe you would say, "I very much believe this." That's about where it's at. Well, Jin Air doing Spring Jin Air things. We'll go ahead and get a replay of Umti just face-checking the entire world.
Yeah, the tremor sense there did not provide him enough information. They were moving there, Afreeca Freecs, but perhaps the lower update rate was a big thing. From there, they were able to close the game. Jin Air with some snipes. Jin Air made the smart move. Actually pushing through the mid lane here was probably the best they could have hoped for. And for a time, when Kramer was DPS'd out, we thought maybe, just maybe, they wouldn't be able to take this turret. But then Kuro walks in. Jin Air continued to just poke the furthest target, but the engage was what actually worked against them. Ulster, when your team comp is falling apart, just forces you into a must-engage scenario. Everyone from the side of Jin Air is cleaned up, and from here, Afreeca Freecs closed out the game.
Actually really good there by Tucson. Flashed forward, did get knocked up by the Pulverize, but had the Unbreakable up, blocking a lot of the shots going through onto Kuro in the backline, helping to keep him alive. Well, that's game one. Going over to the Afreeca Freecs. We'll see if they can close this out with a very rare 2-0 from them, or if it will be taken to the very much expected game 3. So don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to be back in just a couple minutes. We'll figure out what's going to happen, what Jin Air can piece together to try to find some victory here for game number 2.